Hey y'all, thanks for checking out Euclid Mining. So today I'm going to be working on that 3060 rig. It's got the 8 RTX 3060 LHR cards. It's got 7 Samsung cards and 1 Hynix memory card. The Hynix one I have to fine tune a little bit more because it is Hynix and it definitely runs different than Samsung memory. So I'm going to probably fine tune that a little bit better. But ultimately everything else is running fine except for the one problem card I've had with before. And it's still continuing to cause problems. And it's actually seemingly getting worse. As you can see up here, a bunch of restarts I was doing, trying to get that going. I did restart it. It picked up and then it dropped back off. Restarted it, picked back up. This was last night. It dropped off. This morning I restarted it, and it dropped right back off just a little over an hour later. And it had been lasting for, sometimes 12 hours, sometimes a day. Sometimes I'd be worried during the day when I'm at work if it would, have this problem. So in the mornings I'd restart one time and then go to work, hoping that it would make it through the day. I know, not a great way to run your rig, but it's just been causing problems, and now it's causing problems with the rest of the rig because you can see a lot of downtime up and down. So I'm going to go ahead. It actually affected this one here at one point. This one here actually went out for a little while. So it seems like when this one's got problems, it starts giving problems to everybody else. So I'm shutting down right now, and I'm going to hop over there and check it out. We're going to pull that card, and I'm going to do a little bit more than I did last time. Last time I was really just checking slots on the board and thought it was the connector to the board, but obviously it was not that. So I'm going to change some wires, change riser, change a couple other things, and see if we get any better results. So let's go and check it out. All right, well, there's the Grow 10 opened up, and there are the rigs. These are the 3060s over here. These are the 3060 Ti's. Got the fans down here. And down on this side, down lower, I've got the 4 RX cards, and I've got the A4000 over there. So I've got a little air intake coming in like that, pulling a little air, and I do have another one that comes from over here, and I've got a one of these, and it comes over to this side and it goes down. So and then of course on the side I've got the panel here as well, and that's where that other one is there. So that panel there, so that's what it is. So now we're gonna be working on this one here, and it says GPU 2 slot 3, so they start with 0, so it should be this one, but I do have an M.2 slot down there, if you can see it right there, and it goes to the USB. Do I have? No, I don't have any plugged in there, so it's going to be here. So should be this one right here. Should be the one. So I'm going to put the camera down, and I'm going to fish this one out and figure out which one it is, make sure that's the right one. As a matter of fact, I might take this rig out of here to do this just so I can be sure I have a little more space to work with. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's pop this thing up. All right. All right, so I got that one unplugged, and yes, it does go to number 3 up here. So I'm going to go ahead and replace all the hardware on this one. I'm going to take the connector, the wire, the riser. I'm even going to do the power cables on here. I'm going to take care of that and do everything. That way, at least I know everything's brand new. And, hopefully some things that come brand new don't always work either, but hopefully this will work, and that'll be great. If it still gives me the error, the next step that I would say is really process of elimination. So I need to figure out then if all the hardware is brand new, then it's either going to be the GPU or it's going to be the slot. So how would I figure that out? Well, what I would probably do here is I'll probably swap this one and put it here and put this one in its slot. That way, if this one that's been giving me trouble, continues to run and I get no problem, but then this one that I moved over to this slot starts having issues, then I can say, okay, it's probably the slot. If I move this one over to this slot and it has problems, then it's probably not the board, not the wire, and probably unfortunately going to be the GPU. So that's how I'm going to figure out that next, and start from there. So first, like I said, we're going to go ahead and change all this out. So let's grab another riser and some brand new wires and make this happen. So I went ahead and replaced it. This is the old one. I checked it, didn't seem like it had any burnt marks or any problems on it. None of the connections had burn marks in the wires where the connections are. I checked where it plugged in to the splitter here, and then to the wire that went to the power supply. Nothing looked like it had any singed marks, like there was any problems with connectivity as far as, any burnouts. Like I said, the riser looked pretty good. I may try that on my other computer here that I have that I've got the RX cards on over there, and just throw that on one of those and just try it out just to see. But nonetheless, it is replaced. It's completely done underneath here. I've got it hooked up, so it's done here. So everything's good to go. I'm going to put this back in, and we're going to go ahead and fire it up and see if we can get some magic out of it. All right, that's booting up right now, and while that's starting to get going, let me ask you a question. Maybe you can give me some thoughts in the comments down below. So I thought about a couple different configurations in here. I thought about taking this and putting it on this side and having it face so the air exhausting out of here comes out here, and these come out here, and then hopefully it's being all pulled that way. So a couple different thoughts on this. Should I lower the shelf down a little bit? I assume that obviously the hot air rises, but you're really talking about a very small space. So I think talking about hot air rising is really irrelevant, because I think the whole thing is filled with hot air ultimately. So I don't know whether having that up top or bottom really would make that much of a difference. As far as the thought of heat rising, would it really matter because the entire thing is so hot? Or, and then that way the fans would be right in front of these two, pulling them right out like that. So it'd be even more pull on the air coming out of here. Another thought is, so that's if I left everything the way it is and lowered those down, so it just pulled it straight out. The other thought is that if I take this and put it on this side, so they're all exhausting on this way here, and then taking these fans and still perhaps dropping it, or even dropping one down closer, so it's right in line, pulling out that hot air where it would be blowing right into this area here. So then I was thinking about that, and the air intake is on this side here, and I've got the vent down there. So then I was thinking, okay, should I have them both on this side? Because if they're all blowing in this direction, maybe that'll stop some of that air coming in at the bottom through that vent area, if all this air is blowing this way. So maybe if I put them all on this side blowing that way, and then same idea, move these on top of these, or vice versa. I think these are the ones that get the hottest. So I'd want this one to have as much, air being pulled out of here, or at least heat being extracted from this. So I thought that might be a thought, leaving it where it is. So at least it gets the air coming in, going in that direction, and then put this one on top. I don't know if you can see down below, but I do have extra shelves here. Just kind of left them stacked on top of each other. So there are extra shelves all in here. So I can easily do that, and then still leave a little space in between this one, the 3060, and the 3060 Ti. Because like I said, right now, it's the 3060 Ti puts out the most heat. So I don't know, just a couple thoughts in here. I've even thought about putting another fan in here, because when I added a second fan, the sound really wasn't that much difference. I mean, I'm talking it went up a little bit, but really, realistically, it was nothing. Oh wait, I don't have my fancy lights on for recording. There we go. Now I'm official YouTuber. So I'm just thinking, what would be the best option in here? Some thoughts. I would appreciate it. Like I said, I got 3060. Let's just say 3060 on the left, 3060 Ti on the right. So if you talk about this tent in the comments, talk about left and this is right. We'll call that the back, and we'll call where these RX cards and the A4000 is the front. And let's just go from there. Now, I will say that hole in there was purposeful. It was built into the grow tent. That one I actually cut a hole in it, put this ductwork through it, and sealed it. Now this ductwork is really big and bulky, but it keeps the heat in, and that was a big problem in the summertime. In the wintertime, I had the other ductwork. I had this stuff, and it's good. It gets the air where you want it to go, but you can definitely feel the heat on it when I used to have it out here. So that's why this is here. But with this in here, it really filled the hole, and I sealed it. So there is no air escaping over there or any problems over there. So that worked out. So I thought about maybe even adding another one and putting it down below and just getting one more of these, because like I said, the sound was minimal. It was minimal. I could get away with it, I think. So I've thought about getting one, hooking it up, see if it made that big of a difference as far as sound goes. Because when I start hitting Ravencoin and start doing these, prog pow or, pow or, you're going to use more of that GPU. You're going to be using core and memory, mainly core, but that's going to really put that heat factor up in here. So it's going to be an issue. And that's that testing I really want to get going. I just need another full day off to really work on that and start tuning these, and the clock is ticking. So anyway, let's go ahead and hop over to the computer and see where the numbers are. Well, everything is looking strong. Like I said, this one I'm going to fine tune a little bit more because it is the Hynix. But, that's just, I'm talking 2 mega hash, to kind of just toy with these numbers up or down just a little bit. And see, I know usually there's a little bit lower of a setting with the Hynix. You can go a little bit higher with Samsung. In my case, that I've had the displeasure of dealing with Hynix. So, maybe different for yours, but for mine, this is what I'm going at. So, you want to use this as a starting point, but definitely you always want to fine tune. I seem to get pretty good numbers across the board with the settings I have, all in the 49s. Like I said, these can get pushed up to about 50, maybe squeeze a little bit more, but I'm not looking to beat the hell out of these cards. Just letting them run. I think at 49 and change, I think that's just fine. So, all right, well, y'all, well, listen, I'm gonna let this run. Uptime, 6 minutes over here, 7 minutes. So this is the problem child, as you can see. So we're gonna watch that guy. We're gonna check back in later today and see if we have any better results. If, like I said, we run into that same problem, we'll start swapping the GPUs on the board and see if it's the GPU or the board. So I can hear those fans ramping up in there. I got to close that thing up, fire up the other rigs, and zipper that thing closed. So I will see y'all in just a little bit. We'll test it again. So it happened again, and that's kind of what I was hoping not to have happen. I changed all those wires like you saw. I did the riser, the USB. I did the power cable from the breakout board. I actually even plugged it into a different slot on the breakout board for power. That wire was new. The splitter was new to the breakout, to the riser and to the GPU. I was hoping that was the issue. So still having problems. So what I'm going to do now, so I can assume that all the parts that I used were in working order, the new ones that I used, because they were brand new, though nothing is 100%, so, but let's just go with the theory that everything I used that was brand new was in working order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move GPU 2 to GPU 1 slot on the board and put 1 where 2 is. Now, if this one, now plugged into this slot, has the same problem, then I'll say it's the slot on the motherboard. If this one here, now plugged in here, has the same problem, then I'll say it's the GPU because it's in a different slot on the board. So we'll go with that first, and then once I figure out what that is, then I will start testing either the motherboard itself for that slot to verify that slot is bad, or if the GPU is just having trouble, we'll know that by this test. So let me go over there, let me flip those around, and I'm going to come back and reboot it, and we'll see what happens. So far so good. It's been up for about 2 hours, but sometimes it would take as little as 2 or 3 hours, as long as 24 hours. So this is really kind of a drawn out process. This video has been taken a little while to do, just because I need to keep testing different things, and sometimes it doesn't just happen. It takes several hours. So I'm going to let this run, and I'll probably have a conclusion tomorrow and see if we're still running, or maybe I'll let this go for 2 days if it still continues to run, and let it really get the full test to see where the problem is if it happens again. But right now these two cards are switched, So this card was the one that was here that was having problems. So now they are flipped over. So we'll see. I'll be back, and we'll see maybe by tomorrow morning if we have any other luck. So I'll see you in a couple hours. Well, it went down. It looks like we had about 19 hours right here of runtime, and that was pretty good. That was a good run. But as you can see, we just caught it. It just went down just about 30, 40 minutes ago. And it is the same one. Now, yeah, there is another one down, and I will say that every grade so often, I will say, every, 20 times that this has lost its GPU. And that's a horrible thing to even say that I've even let this go on for 20 times. But it's been even more than that, because every about 20 times I will lose another GPU. So it has happened a couple times before, which means this has been going on for a long while, and I've just been neglecting this, and I really shouldn't be. But it did bring one down this time. I'm not terribly worried about it. The last couple times it's taken one down, it took the top one time, and it took the second to last one time as well. So I'm not too concerned. I think it's just when this one failed, it causes a glitch and grabs something else sometimes. But there it is. So you saw just a moment ago when we swapped these out, GPU 1 and GPU 2 we swapped. So GPU 1 used to be here on slot 3, and it was the one failing. We moved it up here. It's running great at 49.36, 65 degrees. I couldn't be happier with the way it's running right now. And so I'm going to say that it's not the GPU, because here it is right here. And the one that was running great in this slot, we moved here, and now it has a problem. So I'm going to say it's the motherboard. I'm going to say it's that slot, obviously, in particular. And then what I'm going to do is I have two options. I have three options. One is that I leave this board there and just unplug it, and I have another M.2 slot that I could plug into. As you see down here, I believe the B is the M.2 slot that's on the board, and this is the splitter that I have on there. So I have one of the 4-way splitters on the board, and I have two M.2 slots, and this is one of them. I believe that's the one, the B. So anyway, what I could do is that there is another M.2. I can take this one here and put it in there. I also could take it and put it into the splitter, because it has 4 ports on it, so I could throw it in one of those also. So that's option 1 and 2, and that would be the lazy version. Option 3, the little bit more of a time taking. Excuse me. Some lemonade. The other option is going to be to take this motherboard over here on my test bench, which I really didn't want to do because I had this extra motherboard. I bought it. I didn't need to use it. It's got a brand new chip, brand new RAM, brand new board. Everything's brand new in it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a test bunch and do it in style, not find some, older board and just to use. I wanted to make sure with what I was using was going to be in good working order as I tested things. I really haven't used this much at all. I've used it just once or twice with a couple other cards, just for a little fun on some stuff. But I would have to take it out of this rig. It's in an open airframe rig right next to me. And it's just like, any of the typical open air frames, like the ones, the 8 rig over there. This is just the 6 version. I also have a 6 version out here also with those two 480s. So I would take this board out, pull that board out, swap them, and put that one in here. Then, of course, I'll be testing things on a board that may or may not be failing, which is not something I really want to use on a test bench, right? So that's the only downside to that, is that I lose this. But then again, I'm really not using it much. So, I could see if I had lots and lots of cards, if I had, double the amount I had and I had problems and I wanted to have somewhere I could just pop it out and just mess with it, but right now with just these 2 main rigs, probably got a little ahead of myself by getting this. So maybe I will swap it out. But for now, what I'm going to do, again, just for testing, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. I was rebooting it, but I am going to go ahead and just shut this down. And let's see if it's rebooted. Yeah. And let's go ahead and just shut this down. And what I'm going to do is I am going to take the GPU off of, I had some pizza a little while ago, and I probably ate more than I should have, but it was delicious. I'm going to take the one off of GPU 2, which is slot 3, and I'm going to just take the connector off, the 1X connector to the motherboard, and I'm just going to use that USB and just go straight into the M.2 or into the splitter. I don't know which one. The M.2s have given me trouble from time to time. The splitter has been very reliable. I have bought several splitters in the past, and I think I've gotten 4 total. Is there 5? No, I think 4. I'll have to see, but I think about 4, and 2 of them didn't work. One of them I'm a little unsure of, and one has been working perfectly. So it has been hit or miss for me with those splitters. I think they're just mass-produced and just pumped out. There's no real larger manufacturer that has a reputable name behind them. So I'm just kind of stuck buying, what they are is what they are. So let me put that in the splitter. Like I said, it has been reliable for me. So I'm going to go ahead and drop it in there, and we'll see. I'll maybe pull this back up tonight, see if we are still running and running strong. And if we are, then maybe we'll wrap this up, and that would be nice. It really won't be wrapped up all together because I'll still always be having that grinding feeling, that OCD, that the board is just not perfect. The board that's in there now, I will say, I don't mean to ramble, but the board that's in there right now is also a 7 slot, and that's only because it wouldn't really matter. I said I bought the wrong CPU for that one, but it's not the CPU that's the problem. So anyway, I just wanted to have a board that had 8 slots. I bought the wrong CPU if you saw that video, and that was miserable. So I only can use 2 of the 3 M.2 slots, which only give me the 7 connections, and not the 8th, and that's on all 3 boards. I'm going to reboot this. I'm going to go pull that. It's rebooting now. I'm going to pull this. I'm going to go ahead and swap that out. I'll see you back here tonight in just a little bit. Hopefully we'll wrap this up then. See you in a minute. Or not in a minute, but a little while. Well, I went ahead and I put the 4 GPUs on that one splitter. I also have 1 slot on the board. I believe it's number 2, is the M.2 slot with the USB connection that I have one of the GPUs in. Now, that one gave me a little bit of trouble at one point, but I'm just going to watch it at this point and see what happens. I do have replacement USB M.2 slot connector little boards. I also have the PCIe 1X slot board also that I could put in there to try that out. So we'll see if this gives me any more trouble, but I think I've taken the card off of the board. Number 3 was, I believe, the culprit, but just to be sure, I put 4 on there and on that one splitter just to see if we're right. So we're going to let this run for another 24 hours and see if anything happens between now and then. If we can make 24 hours, we'll do a happy dance, because I typically don't get about 24 hours before we'd have a problem. I do have this big gap in here. I was changing a light switch downstairs, and you probably ask why I brought all of my rigs down to do that. Well, I was flipping breakers to see which one was the switch that I had to change, and because there was some reconfiguration done in the box, I don't have everything labeled the way I should right now. I have to change a couple of them, and I didn't want to hit the fans in the tent because they pull so much heat out. I wouldn't want all of this heat to build up. It would instantly build up, and it would cause problems for the miners. So I didn't want to take that chance. So I just figured, you know what, for safety, I'll just bring them down. It's only gonna be down for 15 minutes. Now it'll be down for another 15 minutes, but nonetheless, I'll feel better about it, and so be it. So anyway, after that little gap, I'll fire these up, and then like I said, we'll let's see how long it runs. Maybe a couple hours. Maybe we'll cross that 24-hour mark finally. We'll give it a shot. I'll see you in a little bit. All right, y'all. Well, this is gonna be my wrap-up video, and I'll tell you, I think I have a little bit of an embarrassing moment here at the end. So let's just talk about it. This is the 3060 8-card rig, LHR. Now, of course, LHR shouldn't matter because it's unlocked, but it's been mining Ethereum. Now, I shut the rigs down, I unplugged them, I moved the whole grow tent over, I painted the room, and then I moved it all back, plugged it in, turned them on, and that's when I started having problems. I thought it was maybe software related, so I put a new copy of Hive on it, but I don't think I updated the drivers. Well, I moved forward from there thinking I was good to go. Started looking at the rig more and more, testing different slots. I was having slot 3 was giving me the most trouble. As you see, I still don't have it plugged in. I'll get to that in a minute. But I thought it was just the board. So moving things around, then I had some trouble with slot 2, slot 8. Different ones had different troubles, same problems. So I figured, you know what, it's the board. Maybe it's failing, and I was going to replace it. Now, I didn't replace it because during that time, Neoxa became more profitable and looking like the better one to be on. And then I thought, you know what, I really wanted to stack some of these coins for the next week or so. Like I said, I think about 9 days left. So I decided to move it over. And since then, I haven't had a problem. Well, yeah, slot 3 I haven't plugged back in only because everything's been running so smooth. I didn't even want to bother and put it in there. And now more and more I think that if I do plug into slot 3, I'm not going to have a problem because it's running so smoothly. And I think I solved the problem that I was having from the beginning, which was stupidity in its rawest form. I reinstalled Hive and I didn't update the drivers. I am running drivers 510. If I look at T-Rex, they are asking for 512. I also have Gminer that I had run and tried that, and they also want 512. I'm running 512.68.02. I think I just had the wrong drivers. And I was just looking at that because I was going to mine Neoxa and I wanted to make sure drivers and the situation was set. And I looked at it and I said, that didn't look right. And then I looked up T-Rex and the others and found out that I was wrong. So all of this time, it could have been simple driver error. And I dismissed software altogether because I installed a fresh copy of Hive and I just moved forward. I didn't go down a checklist and make sure that everything was the way it should have been. And the checklist only has 2 things for Hive. 1, the fresh copy, and 2, the drivers. And I didn't. I went down a small checklist as I did the board, trying different slots, trying different GPUs, different wires, different risers, different splitters, different USB cables. I went down my list and methodically moved and switched each one the way you should do. But in the beginning, I didn't change my drivers, and that could have been the culprit the whole time. Now, is it and was it? I don't know. I can't say 100%. I could update the drivers or first go back to or put slot 3 in with the Kapow algorithm and see if I have any trouble and just verify that the board is fine there. I could go back to Ethereum and mine that and update the drivers and then confirm that it works. But in 9 days, it'll all be moot because Ethereum will be gone and I probably won't be mining Ethereum Classic on these rigs. Probably just do it on the RX cards if I even do it. ASICs will be dominating that, so will it even be worth it? Who really knows? But ultimately, I'm embarrassed to say that I believe it was drivers at this point. I'm almost positive. I mean, clearly they say it requires 512.xxx. So I appreciate y'all sticking around with me, and I hope I don't lose subscribers today. Anyway, I'm wrapping this one up. I do have some videos on Hive that I did well and that worked and were properly done. So I probably should have watched it myself. But if you want to subscribe to the channel, I don't know why you would after this video, but there'll be a link right over there. If you want to watch a video where I actually knew what I was talking about and didn't completely fumble it from the beginning, you can watch my Hive video on how to update your drivers. That'll be right up over there. I probably should have watched my own video on that, and I did not. I appreciate y'all checking in, and I'll see y'all next time.